Well, I want to give you an angle on something that the other channels won't. And before I do, I'm going to tell you, I was just out there feeding Panda Cat, the little meow meow. Panda Cat's fine with Onyx and all that. I was going to upload a video on it. Cats are getting really calm and all that type of stuff and trusting. It's amazing. And tomorrow, I'll probably be doing another chainsaw video on something else I bought and some other things. But I want to present an angle that you're not going to hear on YouTube anywhere because it's my own unique angle. And consider me, well, you're going to get mad at me for saying this, but consider me a Jewish man of honor. Okay? Um, One thing I'm going to title this video, as you saw, the millennial deep state, why the USA is done for. This latest false flag operation with Paul Paddock is bing, is ridiculous. Now, people in the past have been a lot smarter and actually a lot more popular. Giving you a good example was Al Capone. Al Capone, when he used to go, he's a lot smarter than the current deep state. And you know what happened with him? Eventually, he got caught up with him, right? But the reality of it though was that he was at least providing a service to the people. As a matter of fact, when Al Capone used to go to the ball games, he used to get standing ovations. It wasn't like what they show in the movies today. He was always the bad guy. Actually, he was actually a populist hero in Chicago by many people. Maybe not everybody, but by many people. But Al Capone is infinitely smarter than what you got today in a millennial deep state. It, I don't know what to use the term. I mean, deep state, whatever you want. It's in other words, it's the crooked elements of the government that are playing these games, these false flags, which I mentioned on another video, which has a little orange asterisk next to it for advertiser unfriendly. Anyway, but what I'm looking at is this angle. I've been reading for many years, actually decades, um, some of the stuff that comes out, in particular, was Major Anatoly Golitsyn from Russia, the former KGB major. He points out just how stupid people are in the United States that are running the government. They don't even realize that we got all these moles all over the place that are from foreign powers, and they know everything we're doing practically. I could believe it because it's like this last operation with this guy, the multimillionaire guy that never even had weapons and never had a military background and had a couple Cessna planes and a nice looking Filipino girlfriend. All of a sudden decides to go up there, and he had more skills than, you know what, I can tell you this. Um, I would, if you gave a test, say, everybody respects the Marine Corps, like unless you were in there for a while. Um, Everybody thinks the Marines know everything there is about weapons, right? If you Now, I'm not saying they can pick the 100 people, but let's say if you took a statistical sampling, a random statistical sampling of 100 Marines, and you gave them, you laid out all the weapons on a table, and you told them to duplicate the rapid fire that this Paddock did, guarantee you most of them wouldn't be able to do it anywhere near what he did. Plus, and you gave him the standard military weapons and magazines, there'd be jams left and right in the weapons. Because Paddock, because if Paddock was real, and there was a lot of Paddocks, and there was even 10% of the grunts in Vietnam were like Paddock, there'd been no NVA and Viet Cong left. Okay, and this is Robert De Niro playing what's his face, Al Capone. But the reality of the situation is that it's like anybody would have. It's like I don't. It's like the major media is probably going to lose more credibility over this. But it makes me think of, like I said, I'm looking at it from another angle. If people are that stupid in a deep state that they're pulling this kind of garbage, well, I'm using the term deep state. I mean, the crooked elements in the government, like the whole government isn't crooked, but the crooked elements in the government, which is probably largely the FBI or something. It's like, how? how the hell are they defending against intelligent foreign powers? They can't be. It's ridiculous. It's beyond ludicrous to even think that they could. So, my point is, if they're that stupid, and these are the guys that are the big Darth Vader controllers, Wizard of Oz behind the curtains, and they're supposed to be all powerful and all seeing, well, maybe they could pull the wool over some of the freaking brain dead freaking population in the United States, but they sure as hell aren't going to pull the wool over the eyes of intelligence services in foreign countries. Now, I think we're pretty much cooked over here in the United States, man. And, I've been seeing some rumors and stuff. I'm going to throw one out here. It might be another false flag coming up, but just a guess. Pure guess, but I don't think it's going to happen next week, but it could be happening. I would think it's going to happen maybe during the Trump administration, is that you have a EMP that will be blamed on North Korea, but North Korea didn't do it. It'll be our guys, and then it'll cover for the economic collapse in the bread lines or whatever the hell we got, if we even have bread lines. By that time, the reason I'm also getting chainsaws, what I'm figuring out, maybe I'm going to be up in Tennessee. I want those things for the chainsaw lumber mill, cutting firewood, clearing the land, blah, 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 and all this kind of crap. I'm going to have to really get on hot on the learning curve for that stuff, because that's a great tool to have. And hopefully I won't be anywhere near the city. I'm not really too bad off where I'm at right now, but I'm figuring I want to get way out there in the boonies, man. So, anyway, just as everything that's out there, no matter what you see and what you hear on the major media, or what you hear from big business, or what you hear from big pharma and big medicine, it's pretty much a bunch of garbage, Syphilis can't be cured, right? I don't know what. This story, I was like, I don't even know how people. Oh, maybe most people aren't taking it serious. I don't know. But way back when, remember? Well, you don't remember, but back in the time when Marilyn Monroe killed herself. Remember that? Back then, I know the major media just keeps pushing that story, like she killed herself, and there's all these. This isn't Marilyn Monroe, by the way, but just no way in hell. She was killed, right? Because of, well, I don't want to get into stories why. I do know why, because she was making too much trouble, basically. But all the thinking people, pretty much everybody knew, even though the major media makes it think like the public didn't understand, everybody knew that had a half a brain that Marilyn Monroe didn't kill herself. And that was way back in, 62 or whatever the hell it was. And, it's like, it's the same maybe type of thing that's going to happen with this, because what's going to be etched in stone is what the major media is saying, right? I mean, back during the 1930s, people weren't into games and fun in Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood was big business, but this wasn't on their mind like 99% of the time, at all. They're basically thinking about work and surviving and doing their daily tasks. The major media likes to present that back in the 1930s, everybody was just having fun and ignoring the problems coming up. Yeah. Anyway, that's why hopefully, well, I already know the big money's already putting a clamp down on YouTube, and I saw Bill Still's channel. He was complaining that, they're demonetizing 8 out of 10 of his videos, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And he's pushing Bitcoin, which I am not a fan of, to tell you the truth. I'm not a fan of those electronic currencies worth of crap. And I'm probably going to drop some dimes more on this silver stuff. I'm going to tell you one of the problems, these people think that, we're going to be saved by, what do you call it, silver coins. Well, you still got to deal with the U.S. banking system. And even if you're dealing with these Bitcoins and crap, it's still tough to trade it into something. And that's one of the main points I always want to make with investing, quote unquote. Get the stuff you need first rather than concentrating on investments. Therefore, ergo, I'm investing in chainsaws, which is a great tool for making your own heating firewood and also making, you know, lumber. If I got a chainsaw mill and all that kind of garbage, Al Capone would be proud. Anyway, you know, people. Well, it's like this, man. Maybe they could pull the wool over the eyes of many people in the United States. I don't really think they are the deep state, the millennial deep state, but they're sure not gonna. They can't any. I mean, what do you think? You know, the others. Maybe they don't. People in other countries don't have the financial power of the United States or resources, but they sure as hell largely have far more brains than this yo-yos that are running the United States and our federal government that are supposedly I mean, I think they're done for. They're cooked. I mean, Hillary Clinton's a joke and a half, man. You know? That's another one too. All the bribes he was taking and stuff. It's pretty much it's like the whole United States security is so full of holes. It's a joke, man. It's like I don't think they're gonna be around, man. I don't think they're gonna be around. So basically, it's like this: head for the hills, and every man and woman for themselves. Right? That's what it is. Because Al Capone was infinitely smarter than what you got going in, you know, with these people making these false flags today. Infinitely smarter, and he still got caught. And he was infinitely far more popular than what's going on, you know, these crooks in the government. He was infinitely more popular. Like I said, he used to go to ball games. People used to give him a standing ovation. They used to love this guy. He was providing the booze, man. And you know, remember, I think will repeat it here. You know why prohibition came about in the first place? That was to stop the competition from sale of alcohol coming from the farmers that was competing with Rockefeller's Standard Oil product. Gasoline was being sold in the cities. Alcohol was a much cleaner burning fuel, cheaper, because you know local farmers produced it, and the engines in the Ford Model Ts used to last much longer because it kept the oil cleaner, which means there was less dirt in the crankcase, so there was less wear on the engines, and the fuel burned cleaner, didn't stink coming out of the exhaust anywhere near as much as gasoline. But to knock out that competition, Rockefeller backed the religious people to stop the sale of alcohol or manufacture and distribution of alcohol. So, for religious reasons, that because it breaks up the family and all that. And the real reason behind it, though, that was the good reason they threw, but the real reason, as J.P. Morgan would say, was to stop the competition of alcohol from to stop the competition coming from alcohol to Rockefeller's Standard Oil's gasoline product. And like I've been saying, man, it's like the millennials. I'll tell you what, the next generation after the millennials, I think they call them Generation Z. They're gonna go right back to the freaking hardcore Stone Age. It's gonna be do or die, man. I always look at it like this: the generation of the 30s and the 40s, through traditionalists, are much tougher than the baby boomers by far. Then it starts dropping down. The X goes worse, and millennials get worse. Generation Z, you're going to be going back to the 1700s because that's probably where we're going. But and why I'm saying that is because the people that are the criminals that are really, you know, controlling the government, they don't even know how to make a false flag, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous. They don't even know what the hell they're doing. It's like, it's ludicrous. And I mean, maybe there are a bunch of people going along with this in the public. I don't know. It seems like when I do a quick scan on YouTube, there's a lot of videos out there by the larger channels like the Young Turks or some crap, you know, bragging on this stuff. But I don't know how many people really buy into it, man. I really don't know how many people really do buy into it. But what's going to be etched in stone is what the major media says. That's what's going to be etched in stone, how this all went down. Kind of like how they etched it in stone. Like, I'm not really saying Al Capone was a great guy, but he was he was largely popular in Chicago. They were just after him because they wanted his money. The government went after him because he wanted his money. But I can tell you what I think is going on today is foreign governments. Um, they're gonna own this country, man. And most of these, and I think these people that are actually the criminals in the deep state, they're gonna wind up on the short end of the stick too. I don't know, probably. Who knows? But it's an angle the other guys aren't saying. If the general population could see right through them on a 2 seconds flat, and that's the best they could do for freaking pulling false flags. Like all these things have been false flags, all going all the way back decades. If that's the best, and this is like one of the worst, most obvious ones, was Las Vegas. If that's the best they can do, I can't see how they're winning the war on intelligence and espionage against other foreign countries. It's probably a joke, man. I know the big image is out there that they are, but I doubt they are. Anyway, over and out.